สวัสดีครับทุกคน
ต้อนรับพี่หมีกันหน่อยค่ะ
สวัสดีครับผมชื่อแบร์พี่หมีนะครับผมพูดภาษาอังกฤษดีกว่านะครับได้ไหมครับโอเคได้ครับขอบคุณมากครับ Thank you for having me here today and congratulations to everyone in the room on your success and I hope it continues into the future. I'm here today just to hopefully present something more fun to you, although the subject matter is a little bit dark because it is about the world around us and the challenges that come with that. So we're going to talk a little bit about the world, we're going to talk a little bit about ourselves, and then we're also going to talk about what I'm calling the financial afterlife, meaning the transition from our current financial system to the future. So just to level set before we begin, I am not here to teach you anything. I am here to show you what I see. And the reason why I say that is because I want you to view the information that I give you and make decisions on whether or not it is useful to you. It may not be, but that is your decision. I'm not trying to push anything onto you. I don't want you to believe something. I want you to see it like I see it and then evaluate it for yourself. And the last thing that I'll say here before we begin is that love, peace, harmony, joy, and happiness, they exist in this world. They exist in moments. And those are the moments that we work for. That's why we want to strive and succeed, because we want to build those moments into our life. They do exist. And why I say that is because the next slide is the dark part. Our reality today is war. And why I have it up there as WOR is because if you think of the way that it sounds, war, it's the same war that makes the world. It's the same sound, it's the same thing. So in this unconventional, now new type of warfare, I see that it exists on 5 dimensions. And it's something that I call the 5 F's. The first F is fight, and this has everything to do with your physical body. This is our prized possession. It is what we actually truly own. It's the only thing we truly own is the body that we possess. And in this dimension, one of the ways we can combat is by making ourselves stronger, building up our not only physical strength, but also our immune systems, making sure that we don't get sick a lot. And then another factor that goes into this body dimension is that we have to really learn how to optimize our sleep. It's something that a lot of people just don't really look at, and they wonder why their life isn't where they want it to be, and they're just not optimizing their sleep. So there's a lot of other things that go into the making of the body, but it's just a point that in order to make sure that we're prepared for whatever the world throws at us, having strength and a strong body and a strong immune system is something that's extremely important. The second F is food. Now, this makes a lot of sense because of the fact that a lot of food that we are presented with today or told that is good is actually filled with things like pesticides and chemicals, and basically the degradation of nutrients is something that we experience in food these days, the way that food is manufactured and conventionally processed and things like that. So one of the things that we can do to combat in this dimension is to do things like learn how to cook, learn how to go to the store and read labels. And when you read those labels, look for things that are single ingredient foods and learn how to cook them for yourself so you can make sure that the food that you eat is something that fuels you and helps you in your life. And a lot of these things together, they will all kind of like come together in a perfect storm in order to make you better protected. The other thing about food, I'm just going to look real quick. No, we'll move on to the next one. The next dimension is frequency. And this is something that I feel that a lot of people don't even recognize, that we live in an energetic soup of frequencies and waves. Call it Wi-Fi, call it 453G, and basically radio waves. All this stuff is passing through our environment, and a lot of times we're really unaware of it. One really good example I can give you is that LED lights, these lights that we have here in the room. LED lights actually flash. They flash so fast that your eyes do not detect the flash, but your body does. And what a flashing light does to the body is it basically can disrupt your hormones and increase something called cortisol, which is your stress hormone. So if you go to work all day and you're sitting under LED lights, that could be a factor that's contributing to your stressful feeling. And if you are at home and you want to be able to change and move away from LED lights, I would suggest looking at something called 100-watt halogen light bulbs. They're more of a yellow hue. If you put them in your home and change the light in your home, I guarantee that you will see a difference. It'll make your room calmer, it'll make you feel more at home and more at ease. So, in addition to things like LEDs, we all know about blue lights because we're staring at our screens all day long. The blue lights mimic sunlight. So when it's 12 midnight and you're looking at charts and that blue light is smashing into your eyes, why aren't those like low frequency sound waves being used in order to stop fires rather than what people normally ask is like, oh, that's what they're starting fires with. But we don't know if that's true or not. And the last thing that I'll say about frequency, and this is probably the most important, is regarding the sun. We are told over and over and over by media that the sun is bad for you, that the sun causes cancer. Is that true? Yes, it can. However, that doesn't mean that we should abandon the sun and hide from it, because that will hurt us more than help us. The sun is the basic source of all life on this planet. So for us to find a relationship with the sun where we can actually get the benefits of it without getting burned or getting cancer is something that we can look into, and it has a lot to do with our diet. If we are eating healthy, very saturated fats, that can help protect our skin, and then doing some other things in order to make sure that you're not getting too much sun would be to time your exposure to the sun. But I do think if you spend a couple of minutes, maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes in the sun and try to do it a couple times a week, that is a good way to make sure that your hormones are balanced and that actually the sunlight will help signal to your body that it's daylight, which then will help your sleep get better because you're receiving the full information from the sun. Okay, that's a lot. Frequency is a big one because a lot of people don't think about it. So it's something that, like, if you're worried about protecting yourself, look into it more. And if you have any questions about it, like, we could talk about it at another time. So the fourth dimension is finance. I will not spend a lot of time here because I'm in a room of experts, but just know that the way that the financial system is set up worldwide is designed to try to keep people poor and make advancing up and gaining wealth something that is very difficult. Now, and that's done through many different ways, whether that's monetary schemes, whether that's inflation, or whether that is things like COVID, where you use an excuse in order to shut down businesses and change economies. All these things are in play, so being aware of it and looking out for it is very important. The last F the fifth F, is something I'm calling freedom. This is basically informationally, whether it's a mainstream media narrative or it's an alternative media narrative, the information that we're presented with today, that information is presented algorithmically, meaning that it's tailored to us. It's tailored based on our behaviors. So what happens is that a lot of the information that gets pushed to us is trying to control how we think. And if you don't believe that it's happening, I understand, like, the internet is a great place and social media is a great thing. However, where I used to work, we targeted messages to people without them knowing it. We get them to think certain ways so they would take actions without them knowing it, thinking that it's their own idea, almost like Inception. So what I'm trying to say here is that when people try to tell you something, and that could be a friend, that could be the TV, that could be anything, always take the information, be grateful for it, but analyze it, understand it, become critical about it. Does it apply to you personally? If it doesn't, let it go. Just make sure that you're not believing things at face value, because just this person says this to me, so therefore it has to be true. No, it's information, it's data. I take it in, I analyze it, and I tell myself whether or not it's true for me. So that is the 5 Fs. There is also a secret 6th F, which is once you realize that this is what your world is comprised of, you just sit back and say to yourself, fuck. But, okay. The other thing I'll say here too is your true enemy is unknown. And a lot of people would argue that and say, like, no, it's the government. You know, oh no, it's my mom and my dad. They're my enemy. It is unknown. And you know what? It's not even that it's unknown. It is not relevant who the true enemy is. If you understand that these 5 dimensions hold the key to defend yourself in this reality, it does not matter who is instigating this challenge. Does that make sense? Like, I think a lot of times when people present, like, this is the enemy, these are the people that you have to worry about, this is the group you have to worry about, this is the secret society that you have to worry about, none of that matters. It's all a distraction. It's all gold towards you putting your hate and your fear on something else rather than dealing with it inside you. So I just want to make that clear. And the last point here, which is good news, is that your physical and mental health is the measure of how well you fight. So if you feel great and you look great, you're doing a good job. And it's not just, oh, you know, I look great, I'm cosmetic. No, if your body is performing at the best way it possibly can, and your brain is in a mode where you can do all the things that you need to do, that means that you're succeeding. And a lot of people in this room definitely feel that. You have your good days and you have your bad days, and you know how well you fight. So that is what I'll say about that. It's a dark way of looking at the world, but I try to base myself in reality. And I look at the things that are put in front of me, and I make decisions based on that. So we'll then move on. No, that's back. Pick up. Kotor Cup. Oh no. Okay. Cup. So I will just talk about this really briefly with regard to ego, which we all have, I think. Ego gets a bad reputation. A lot of people will tell you that ego is not a good thing. In America, we have a saying, and if you're going to a meeting, someone might tell you, leave or check your ego at the door, which basically means like if you're coming to this meeting, don't bring your bullshit. And my point is that ego is not necessarily a bad thing. Ego is your defense mechanism. Ego allows you to look into the world and see what is evil, what is good, what makes me fearful, what scares me, and what should I do about it? Does the ego panic and think, oh my God, everything is going crazy and this and that, and cause you to overreact? Yes, it can. But a lot of times I hear in the media, people are trying to institute or tell you that it's good to have an ego death. I don't agree with that. What you should do is learn to tame your ego, like a dog. If you have your dog with you, you don't let your dog control the conversation. You don't let your dog do anything bad. But if you're threatened, that's when you let it off the leash. So in order to be tactful and mindful in this world, you need to understand that the ego is there to protect you. And the ego is a good thing. And that you should have a conversation with it in order to make sure that it doesn't get too scared or too frightful or too crazy, and be able to help you and you can work together. And I just think it's funny that like it's like evil, good, and an operating system. All of us work on trying to evaluate whether or not things are evil or good, whether or not ourselves are evil and good. That is our baseline operating system as humans. And I think more people should think and talk about that. Next slide. Why doesn't this work? Okay, so now we'll leave the world and all the doom and the gloom, and we'll talk a little bit about digital and crypto. Back several years ago, when I began to look at crypto, this is how I saw it. And what I mean by that is that, have you ever walked into Asok and turned to where Soy Cowboy is? And you basically stand there at the front of the street and you look all the way down and you see all the lights and you see all the craziness and you just look at it and you go, what the fuck is this? That's how I felt about crypto. And if you're with your friends, as soon as you walk in, everyone's like, oh, hi, you're so handsome. And two of your friends disappear. And you're like, what happened? Meme coins. Meme coins is what happened. And then as you walk down the block and you look a little bit more, there's a woman standing there locked dead-eye with you, and she's as tall as me. And you look at and just go, wait, what? And as you get closer, you start to think, something ain't right. This ain't right. That's how I felt about crypto. That's how I felt about crypto. And when you got down the block a little bit, you come to two big bars or two big clubs. One of them's orange, and the other one's blue. And you need to go into the Bitcoin club or you need to go into the Ethereum club. And that's the way crypto was. And I always kind of looked at it as like, there's something sketchy about it. And building trust in that area was very difficult. And it took a lot of analysis in order to figure out, well, what are the good parts and what are the shit parts? And how do I navigate this and try to benefit from it? So sorry. Okay. Now I look at crypto and digital assets in a different light. I look at them more like this guy looks at the idol that he wants to steal. And what I mean about financial afterlife is that our financial system that is global currently has problems. They have huge problems, and it's slowly dying, whether or not it's because of the inflation in the US or whatever they're doing to try and fix it. Our global monetary system has major issues, and it is, in a lot of sense, almost going towards extinction. and it needs to be revitalized, and it needs to transition into a new form. So when I started to think about that, and even seeing the word crypto, crypt, it's about the dead. So I always wondered, yeah, okay, you can say it's about cryptography, it's about making unbreakable codes and things like this. I get it. But the thing is the word crypt is still there. You could call it something else. So it started to make me think, like, what crypto is trying to show you is that the current financial system has major issues. And if you don't realize that crypto and digital assets are trying to propose fixes for those problems, whether called remittance payments, making things faster, things like that, that's how we need to look at it. We need to pick through the bones of this financial system that is dying. And we need to position ourselves and find the things that are going to be that which bridges us to the next life, to this next transition. And that is how I'm looking at crypto now. So it's kind of gone from this whole fun house circus to just like now kind of saying, all right, well, when we get serious, like, what is it that's going to make it? Like, it can't be meme coins unless there's a real purpose behind them. But is it utility coins? And if so, which utility coins? And what should we be looking at? So this is kind of, it amuses me, but it goes back to that, going through the ruins, going through all the past civilizations and trying to find clues within them in order to help position us for the future. This is something called the Cairo. And does anybody here know what Cairo is? So, Constantine the Great, he was an emperor. And one night in a dream, he saw this symbol, the Cairo. And what he did is, after he saw the symbol, he put it across all the banners of his, basically, armies. And he carried his banner as the Cairo. And what the Cairo is it's the first two Greek letters of the word Christos. So it's Chi and Rho, C and R, or X and P. So this Cairo, I've known it my entire life. And when I saw XRP, I started to think, that's really quite strange. And it's something that kind of stuck out to me, is that this thing means Christ. And yet, we kind of all look at something called XRP, and people will tell you that that is the savior, that is the bridge currency that's going to bring everybody into the future. Now, is that true? I have no idea. But I can just tell you that it's interesting because a lot of other people, like Chin and I were looking at something on Twitter yesterday where a guy was saying that Ripple Labs is like something that is going to enact like the beast financial system, meaning that it's like going to do the devil's work. And if you think about that, it sounds kind of crazy, but a lot of people believe in like the past proving the future, and that like something from biblical times will come true, and that a new financial system that controls people needs to come to pass because it's part of a prophecy. I don't know if all that's true, but what I'm saying is that it's definitely something to look at and think about. Now, the one thing about saviors that I would be informing you to be cautious about is that saviors always get sacrificed. So while XRP might be something that does get us into the new system and people benefit from it as it bridges into this financial afterlife, always be mindful of the fact that in our history, things that are considered saviors end up being sacrificed. And sacrificed for what? I'm not sure. But also, too, is will it be sacrificed? I'm also not sure. I'm just saying, like, as far as looking at trends and things, this kind of stands out to me. And I also might be crazy. Like I said, you take this information, you evaluate it for yourself. If it makes sense, cool. If not, I'm okay being the crazy guy. And the last slide I'll just leave is that crypto, it's tough. Like, it's not like currencies. Like, there's a lot of nuance in it, and it's harder to trade and be successful at it. I mean, you could bullshit people if you want, but to be truly successful at trading in crypto, it's a very difficult thing. This strategy was given to me or told to me quite a long time ago by someone who got very wealthy in crypto, and he called it the firehouse strategy. Fire hose, sorry, excuse me. The fire hose strategy. And what this means is that going back into the financial system to take a look at where the problems are and try to figure out what are the solutions, what are the technical things that can help us fix the problems that the financial system has. Find and identify those, and then that is where you park your money. You put your money in front of the fire hose and you wait. Now, some people argue like waiting means that you have to hold. You should always be holding a certain amount. You don't have to hold everything. But this fire hose method, if you pick correctly, if you pick the right horse or the right hose, and it ends up being something that scales, you will benefit from it. And this is where you make exponential returns on your investment. So it's not just trading for the day and making a little bit gain here and a little bit there. It's about finding what you believe in and putting all your available investable money in front of that fire hose and wait. Because one day it will get turned on and the water will come. So when he told that to me, it was something that I took to heart. So I hope it's something that, it's very basic, but it just makes sense. Like, where you could take a smaller amount of money and just park it in front of something that could blow up and be huge. And what assets that is, I'm not sure. And we could talk about, things that we like if we want afterwards. But that is just something I wanted to impart to you. I hope this information was somewhat helpful. I know that the way that I present is kind of like all over the place. But I want to again thank you very much for having me here. And the last thing, one more, sorry. Okay. All of you are getting t-shirts from me today. Please take them home, wear them with pride. They are large, they're super oversized, so for some of the muscles in the back, they'll be perfect. But for majority of everyone, even the ladies, take one. It's a great shirt for use at home, like a nightie or a nighttime shirt. And if you'd like to, you can follow me on Instagram at warchest999. It's an account that I just started. And I'd be happy to answer questions there or here or to talk to you about anything. As Chin might also tell you, I'm a big container of somewhat useful and somewhat not useful information. So if you have questions about anything, I've been around for a while, and I know a little bit about everything. So I'm happy to help in any way that I can. Thank you very much. Sawadee Kap.